Okay, kids, work from home Wednesday. It's about 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday, March 19th. Let's do another Daily Hawk. I'm Hawk. I'm your host. Here are some news stories from today. Democrats are trolling House Republicans at town halls. Democrats all across the country are holding town halls in Republican congressional districts because Republicans are too afraid to do it. Let's start with Representative Mark Pocan, Democrat from Wisconsin, the outspoken progressive from Madison, Wisconsin. He's known on Capitol Hill as perhaps the top antagonist to Derek Van Order, also from Republican. Representative Pocan took his show on the road last night, hosting an event in Van Orden's district. So Derek Van Orden, Republican congressman from Wisconsin, is an asshole. He is a blatant asshole. Just Google him. Derek Van Orden. You'll get some stories. Pocan posted pictures of a 300-person rally in Van Orden's district, where the Democrat had an empty chair on stage for Representative Van Orden and slammed Republicans for cutting Social Security safety net programs. Oh, man. I love this. I think that's fantastic. I support that entirely. Tesla was booted from an auto show, the Vancouver International Auto Show. Tesla was removed from the event by organizers because of safety issues revolving around the Elon Musk-led company. Musk has also personally drawn the ire of some Canadians, writing last month on his social media platform X that Canada is not a real country. That dude just can't get out of his own way, man. This is by far my favorite story of the entire day. Public education in the state of Oklahoma. They already passed a thing requiring Bibles for every classroom or something, and the Oklahoma State Legislature tried to pass a law saying that those Bibles had to be the Lee Greenwood Bibles from Donald Trump's website. Yeah, a court put a halt to that, thank God. Here's the next best thing. Oklahoma students to learn about 2020 election discrepancies. They're going to teach in public schools, K through 12, that the 2020 election was stolen. They're going to teach that to public school kids in Oklahoma. Proposed language recently added to the state's draft social studies standards, which the Board of Education approved and are now under consideration by the state's majority Republican legislature, cites elements of the unproven and discredited claims of widespread voter fraud during the 2020 election. Wow. I mean, so basically, the Republicans who have supermajorities in Oklahoma are making a proactive decision for K through 12 public school students in Oklahoma to be unemployable for the rest of their lives. Because in public schools, they're going to be taught the Bible and that the 2020 election was stolen. That's going to be their curriculum. Donald Trump has frozen $175 million in federal funding to Penn, the University of Pennsylvania, citing policies allowing transgender athletes to compete in women's sports. Hang on one second here. Let me look up something. So if you want to learn more about why that is, Google Leah Thomas, L-I-A, and Riley Gaines, G-A-I-N-E-S, and that'll take you down a whole rabbit hole. Who spreads the most disinformation? There's so much disinformation on the internet these days, but who is the worst offender? Let's ask Grok, the AI chatbot developed by Elon Musk. It's tough to crown a single biggest spreader of disinformation on the internet because it depends on how you measure it, reach or intent or impact, and the data is always shifting. That said, if we're talking scale and influence, Elon Musk often comes up as a top contender with his massive platform, Twitter, X, where he has over 200 million followers, and his role as the platform's owner. His posts can amplify unverified or false claims to billions of views. Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok says who the biggest spreader of disinformation on the internet is: Elon Musk. Donald Trump has resumed his attacks on federal judges today about the orders and the flights to Venezuela and the gang members, none of whom have been proven to be gang members. And the DOJ or ICE seems to be willing to acknowledge now that the majority of these young men have never been charged with a crime or convicted of a crime, felony, or misdemeanor anywhere, including the United States and Venezuela. Curious, said Trump, if a president doesn't have the right to throw murderers, other criminals out of our country because a radical left lunatic judge wants to assume the role of president, then our country is in very big trouble and destined to fail. Donald, there's a very easy solution to this. What this judge is ordering you to do is to follow the law. The law requires that you give all of these young men due process. It requires that if you are asserting that they are a member of a violent Venezuelan street gang, that for each one of them individually, you have to go into court, have a hearing, and prove that about each one of them individually. Donald Trump is not willing to do that because he can't. He doesn't have the evidence that every single one of these young men is a member of a violent Venezuelan street gang. They are brown. That's it. That's Donald Trump's evidence that they are members of a violent Venezuelan street gang. They're brown. Period. I'm not going to read that. That just made me angry. Okay. We're skipping that story. So Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, what's the latest headache that he has to deal with is the fact that Donald Trump and many of his members are now calling for the impeachment of multiple federal judges who have issued rulings contrary to Donald Trump's wildest dreams and desires. That is an absolute waste of time because, and I did a TikTok on this last week about impeachment as it relates to Donald Trump. It's the same procedure for federal judges. Articles of impeachment are filed in the House. The House votes on those articles of impeachment. If that bill passes, then that federal judge has been impeached. An impeachment simply reads basically like an indictment. We charge you with the following things, and then they just vote on it. Then it goes to the Senate for a trial. If the judge is convicted during that trial in the Senate, then they are removed from the bench. However, in order to have that conviction in an impeachment trial, it requires a 67 vote threshold in the Senate. And that's never, ever, ever going to happen. And so Mike Johnson is stuck with a whole pile of his members demanding these impeachments, which is going to be an absolute waste of time because they'll never be convicted at trial in the Senate. Any of them. Not a single one. But his members don't care about effectiveness. They care about doing shit so that they get invited to be on Fox News. Here's a shocking statement that I'm sure everyone saw from coming out of nowhere. Donald Trump's proposed tax cuts mainly benefit the wealthy. His tax cuts would actively transfer money from low-income people to high-income earners. I mean, that's the story of the United States since 1970, but whatever. A Democratic lawmaker, Glenn Ivey, Democrat from Maryland, calls for Chuck Schumer to step aside as the Senate minority leader because of how he handled the government funding thing last week. Interesting. And Chuck Schumer had to cancel his book tour this week. I did a TikTok yesterday about Chuck Schumer's appearance on the Chris Hayes show on MSNBC yesterday, which I watched. And it was like watching a fucking Saturday Night Live sketch, man. It was the most ridiculous thing I've seen in a really, really long time. I mean, it was just an endless litany of excuses and I know best condescension. It was unreal, man. Are Democrats about to have their Tea Party movement? So this is from Dan Pfeiffer. Sorry, my allergies are crushing me today. Dan Pfeiffer worked in Obama's White House for quite some time. Smart guy. He's one of the Pod Save America guys. He said, we can debate how much leverage Democrats would possess in a funding fight, but unquestionably, it was one of the rare moments of leverage available to the minority in the Senate. The response within the party ranks to what Schumer did, from elected leadership to local activists to everyday voters, has been a combination of rage and despair. After 2 months of Trump running roughshod over our democracy, people are demanding a proportionate response from the opposition. Folks are calling for Schumer to step down and floated primary challenges against the Democrats. So many protests were scheduled for Schumer's upcoming book tour that he canceled it at the last minute. I had tickets to go see him this coming Saturday. I was going to go be mean and yell at him and fart in his general direction. The public is wondering if Democrats are headed for their own Tea Party movement. The party may face a grassroots uprising that includes primary challenges for incumbents and an insurgency that could cost current leadership their positions. Good! Good. Good. Elon Musk is fucking with Social Security. He's going to require millions to confirm their identities to collect their benefits, either in person or over the internet, whereas people used to be able to do that over the phone. People who are very elderly and people who are disabled are now going to have to go in person. Amazing. A judge has blocked Donald Trump's transgender military ban. Good news. This happened yesterday, Tuesday. A federal judge on Tuesday indefinitely blocked implementation of President Trump's executive order effectively barring transgender people from serving in the military, a stark blow to the administration's effort to curb transgender rights. I would rephrase that as it's a stark blow to the administration's efforts to further the dominance of straight white Christian men over United States culture and society. U.S. District Judge Anna Reyes, an appointee and former President Biden, barred Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other military officials from implementing Trump's order or otherwise putting new policy into place, effectuating it. She also said the plaintiff's military statuses must remain unchanged until further order of the court. Pete Hegseth promptly went back to his office and got drunk. I'm kidding. I added that last part. Real life auditors who are watching the things that Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency have been doing for the last 6 weeks have said these are not audits. This is a heist. This is the greatest heist of government data and personal data on every American in the United States ever that has ever occurred. It's a heist. And it's for the data so that Elon Musk can feed it into his AI chatbot, Grok, who right now says that Elon Musk is the greatest source of misinformation and disinformation on the internet. Yeah. Donald Trump is considering major cuts to domestic HIV prevention programs. Sometimes I think he's like Reagan, where he thinks only gay people get HIV and AIDS. Moron. I'm going to talk about this one a little more separately. Yesterday, a federal judge ruled Tuesday that Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency likely exercised unconstitutional authority in multiple ways, and that basically every single thing about Elon Musk and the Doge boys is unconstitutional. The fact that that thing exists, every single thing that they're doing, everybody that they're firing, all the money they're clawing back, everything that they're doing, it's all wildly unconstitutional. So good on that judge. But I'm gonna find that ruling and talk more about that. It was a judge in the District Court of Maryland issued a 70-page ruling yesterday. So I'm going to dig into that later on today. We'll close out with this. More Americans say the United States is not doing enough to help Ukraine. That number is at 46%. Believe the U.S. is not doing enough. That's a 16-point increase since December. Yeah, since December, 3 months. It's gone up 16 points. Oh God, I hope somebody figures something out with Ukraine, or a lot of innocent people are going to get fucking killed because Donald Trump is trying to suck up to Vladimir Putin, and that's just gross and disgusting and heart-wrenching and heartbreaking and tragic and criminal. It's criminal. It's absolutely criminal.